When one watches the Olympics or NCAAs for diving and gymnastics, you're watching the best athletes in the world. From first glance, one can see that the athletes are incredibly athletic. However, some of the most accomplished athletes have a negative body image. Body image is an individual's perception of the aesthetic attractiveness of their own body. Through a series of interviews and research, I am to understand why athletes in aesthetic sports are prone to negative body image and what the repercussions of such negativity are.
I do believe that there's an ideal physique. I think that you have to be average height. You can't be too tall or too short. You can't be too muscular or too weak. Obviously, certain body types benefit you. If you're stronger, you can get more height. But I do believe that it's like a very delicate balance.
I don't believe there's an ideal physique in diving. I think that different bodies have different strengths, and I've seen some really beautiful divers, who look pretty different.
You can make anything work, but there are certain body types that work a lot better than others, and there are some body types that will eventually go way farther than others. I don't think it's necessarily related to talent, but there is definitely a lot of work that goes into creating a specific kind of body type or a kind of balance in how you're built that will improve your skills.
I think there's definitely an ideal type of body, but it's definitely flexible. There's not one specific type of body that you need to be good at. Gymnastics, there's all sorts of shapes and sizes that you could be. You can still work around it either way, especially with the different events.
In terms of height, there is actually it's more ideal if you're smaller, obviously, so you can flip more, make the dives that you want to make. For example, a really tall person won't be able to make a front 4.5 tuck on 3 meter, but someone who's smaller and powerful can make that dive better. So I'd say, because I'm about 5'5", my physique and body height, I guess, are pretty good for diving. I can spin fast, and that's what makes me the diver that I am.
Yeah, strong, muscular, I don't know. If you're a gymnast, if you're not strong, you're probably going to be in the lower half of the gymnastics community, I guess.
No, I don't, and that's one of the big things I think in gymnastics is that you have your guys who are kind of pretty lean, and then there's guys who are just, really big, wide bone structure, and I think you train to your own strengths, basically. Some guys are ring specialists, and some guys are floor parallel bar specialists based on their body type, and I think that's what makes being an all-rounder so impressive, is that you have the body type to do all 6 events, which is really difficult.
Half of the athletes said that there is no ideal physique, because one can train to their strengths and still do the skills. However, the other half of the athletes believe that there is an ideal body type that enables one to go further in diving and gymnastics. To compete at an elite level, divers and gymnasts must be strong and short while still maintaining flexibility.
Definitely not. I don't think they've ever made any comments that have made me feel pressured. I think the only thing they ever say is that they want us to be stronger, but stronger can look like a lot of different things. I just think that athletics in general make you more conscious of, your musculature and what your body is capable of doing physically, but...
No, I feel pressure from my coaches to get strength. It's not the physique that matters, it's the actual capability of your muscles for your body, being able to hold strength fields and stuff like that.
No, definitely not. They don't expect you to look a certain way, as long as you're capable of doing the dives correctly.
The biggest pressure from coaches is they keep your dietary habits really strict. They don't want you to eat a lot of junk food, and they want you to do a lot of strength, sometimes even so much so that you're pushing the limits of injury. And yeah, it's a strenuous sport, so the strength is needed for a lot of the skills, and they're pushing you to get the necessary strength.
No, I think that it's more pressure from other divers when you go to other diving meets, and just comparing your body to other people's bodies, but it definitely doesn't come from your coaches.
Personally, yes, but that's because I didn't have a good physique for a long time, and I still don't, because genetically my legs are huge, and that's not super great for gymnastics. So to a certain extent, yeah, I do feel some pressure to lose weight in my legs and kind of slim down a little bit because I'm really heavy. But I mean, it's not constant pressure. It's only occasionally I'll get something about it.
I don't really feel pressured from my coaches specifically to maintain a certain physique. It's more just self-motivation to maintain my physique, and I know that if I did end up not maintaining my physique, then my coaches might say something or intervene to help me, but there's no pressure really.
Not as much for me, actually. I feel like that just goes personally. To be good at gymnastics, stay pretty relatively fit, eat the right foods. But my coach doesn't usually he's not that on me on diets and stuff.
Interesting. All of the divers said that they didn't feel pressure from coaches. Rather, they put the pressure on themselves. In contrast, all of the gymnasts, except for Mark, said that they felt pressure from their coach to look a certain way. When I trained at Stanford Boys Gymnastics, my coach would make intermittent comments reminding me that I needed to lose weight and that I didn't have any talent. Because of this, I always thought I was overweight. However, when I switched to Stanford diving, the coaches commented on how strong and talented I was. The derogatory comments that coaches make is a main factor that elicits a negative body image.
I always felt a little bit on the taller side for gymnastics. I'm 5'11", and a lot of gymnasts' average height are a few inches less than that. So I always thought that, for especially rings, that was a big potential problem because these guys can do iron cross, and I have so much more arm wingspan that it's a lot harder to do that. But overall, I think that I'm okay with my body type. It's not the best gymnastics body type, but I wouldn't trade it in for another one.
It's, kind of hard not to compare yourself to others, but you just have to focus ultimately on how you can use your body to best benefit you in diving. So overall, it feels okay, but obviously it depends on the day.
I feel pretty good. I feel like my body's pretty good for gymnastics, short, pretty strong. So I think it's the right type.
I'm a little bit tall in terms of diving. It's good to be around 5'8", 5'9" for guys. I'm 5'11", so I'm a little bit tall, but in the long run it doesn't make that much of a difference.
I wish I had stronger muscles. I feel like my muscles are defined, but I feel like they're not strong enough. I feel like it's an issue for a lot of gymnasts. They go for a body, or they're going for one thing, or they're going for a specific type of bodybuilding, but they're not going for the actual strength. And I feel like that's where I missed out a little bit.
I feel okay. I have put on a lot of muscle mass, so that's good. I can do a lot of the harder strength skills, but when it comes to technique things where I need to be light, it's a lot harder, especially on my joints and stuff because I weigh so much. So it's even I am a bigger guy, so landings and stuff can be a lot harder on my joints.
When I did gymnastics, I always thought my legs were too big. Because of this, I ate as little food as possible. However, when I switched to diving, the coaches were enthusiastic that I had strong legs, as it would enable me to dive much higher. The over-magnification and focus on a part of an athlete's body that doesn't align with their sport's physical requirement is a factor that can elicit a negative body image.
I think we get a lot of messaging from the media about what body types are ideal, but I think especially with athletics you have to kind of define your beauty standards for yourself.
I think everyone feels a certain type of pressure and influence from the media on body image, especially in this day and age. At our age, adolescence, it's a big period of change, and people want to fit in. because it's already so weird transitioning from childhood to adulthood. You know, people get eating disorders because, you know, they want to look skinny. People feel bad about themselves because of their bodies and they want to change themselves. And I think change is good, but, you know, sometimes it can also be unhealthy when it gets to a certain extent. So there's always that you have to be careful about.
Like, there's always cultural pressure. I mean, in our society today, with like, there's constant. If you go on Instagram, like half the most popular Instagram people are like these hyper fitness gurus and stuff, and they always have these like the perfect body image that is purported so much.
The way that media portrays women's bodies isn't very accurate, and so just kind of being aware that it's an unrealistic like image of women that's put out there, and that if I am as skinny, or if I'm as skinny as these women, then I won't be able to be as strong to complete my dives. So you just kind of have to understand that their body type isn't best for your sport.
With regards to the media, all of the athletes acknowledge that an unrealistic body image is put on a pedestal. However, an athlete must create an individual standard that is based on a confluence of social standards and athletic requirements. If one does not achieve their individual standard, they can be predisposed to have a negative body image.
So being in a sport that values a certain body type, thin or athletic, muscular, you have to be someone who receives enough support from other areas of your life that tell you you're okay. It doesn't matter what other people think, and I think a lot of athletes don't have that. And so if you're not getting those messages from other aspects of your life, it's really difficult to take it upon yourself to say, no, I'm okay, no, I'm not too fat, I'm not too short, I'm not too whatever. And that's really difficult to do for someone in their late teens. So to be able to get past that, you really need a good support system, like family and friends reassuring you that you don't need to look a certain way, because directly from the sport, you can't help but feel inadequate at times.
Body image is an individual concept defined through interpreting a confluence of social standards and athletic requirements. In aesthetic sports, there are three main factors that elicit a negative body image: an over-magnification and focus on a part of an athlete's body that doesn't align with their sport's physical requirements, agreeing with and imbibing a coach's derogatory comments, and comparing oneself to others to the point at which they feel inferior. The two main repercussions of having a negative body image is that one can develop eating disorders and mental health issues, such as depression and anxiety.